Hello everybody, Ben Woodruff here with another Falconry video. Today's video, I want to talk about the miracle, the patience, and the absurdity of the sport of falconry. And this is a video I've wanted to do for a while, and it's really kind of stems from one painting that I love that I think kind of brings the whole concept together. Falconry, we come into it with some history and access to what's already been done. There are very few people, I would imagine, in the world who just like, I just think I'm going to train a bird. They've heard of falconry in some way. They've seen somebody else practicing it, whether they know of medieval falconry or, for me, I was always just captivated by ancient Egyptian reverence for the lanner falcon, where the lanner falcon appears all over the place in Egypt in art and in titles and in the language and everything. But also for me, a Middle Eastern falconry, the concept of ancient Bedouin falconers mastering the skill of training a saker falcon and taking that saker falcon far out into the desert by camel back in the day, right, with tents and going out and tracking and hunting wild habara, which is a bustard. It's a giant bird the size of a turkey. That form of falconry just captivated my mind. But the point is, we know of the history. It goes back over 5,000 years. It's the oldest recognized field sport of the human species as a form of getting food. And over the centuries, there's been, we've learned this type of equipment, then this is better, all the way up to radio telemetry and GPS telemetry we use today. That's been a process that people are aware of when they get into the sport of falconry. But the point I want to make is that the birds don't know that. You can read volumes on how goshawks have been trained over the centuries and learn, this works better, and then I'll do this, and then you finally do it, and you're like, wow, yeah. The goshawk doesn't know that. Goshawks don't go to school. They don't go read falconry books. They don't know any of this. Humans have the habit of getting impatient, especially with other people who don't understand what we're trying to do. Okay, if there's a process that needs to be done. Think about if you're driving, and we all know the laws, and if some other person is not following the traffic laws or being reckless, we're like, what's your problem? That is based off of the assumption that they know the laws, that they value their life and their own safety and the safety of others, which, of course, they should. But so it's understandable to get impatient with other humans that know the traffic laws and are choosing not to follow them. If there are processes and procedures and training techniques that you know of and you're applying them correctly and the bird is not understanding, do not get impatient with them. They don't know the name of the game. You're taking a species whose instinct is fight or flight, and it typically errs on the side of flight. I don't like you, I'm getting away from you, I'm going to fly away. They're not closely related to you at all, other than we're both vertebrates, and yet you are trying to transcend and cross the language barrier. They're never going to learn your language, and trying to help them to understand, hey, if we work together, we can accomplish this thing called falconry. You're only going to have success legitimately if you show patience and respect. Patience, respect, grill it into your brain. That is what you need to remember at all times. And the reason is, again, the birds don't know. They haven't read books. They haven't watched this YouTube channel. They don't know. They don't know these things. You're going to have success if you reward you're offering the concept of falconry. And as they are understanding those principles, you're rewarding and incentivizing them for accomplishing it. And if they're not understanding, you are ignoring. You cannot discipline a bird. And I've done videos on that going into more depth. But I want to talk about just how far the sport has and can go, almost to a miraculous level, with with patience and with understanding. And so I want to show you a painting. And before, I have to kind of preface a little. I'm an artist. I paint, I draw, I sculpt. I love to paint. And so anytime I view art, I view it through the lens as an artist. What technique do they use? What do they like? And I have 5 favorite artists on the planet throughout all history. And one of them is a Russian artist named Vadim Gorbachev. Look him up, Vadim Gorbachev. He's amazing. I collected his prints signed by him and absolutely love them. Now, one of his greatest gifts is his ability to capture what we call loose and tight styles. So a tight style of art is very realistic, very detailed, moving towards photorealism. A loose style is generally defined as capturing the essence of a scene, a person, an action with the most minimal amount of detail that you can apply. Not most, but many logos of companies designed by advertisers are often some sort of a loose style to capture the essence of something. Maybe if you're going to have a city logo, it'll just be a silhouette of the city, skyline. And it's like, here's the buildings that we recognize. Very simple, without all the detail. Vadim Gorbachev has a strange style that he can capture tight and loose in the same painting. Look at his work and you'll see, and a lot of it you're like, it's so simple and hardly any detail, and at the same time is detailed. So I just want to make a plug because he is such an incredible artist, and if you have any way to support him or any of his work or buy any of his prints, please do, because he's a gift to the world. What I love about his falconry ability is he will capture falconry and all the emotion and the movement flawlessly with a tiny bit of stylization, just a tiny bit, enough that it barely registers, but enough that it accentuates. Almost like if you here's realism and we're going to add 2% cartooniness to it. That's unregistered to probably most non-artists. It's wonderful. They're usually action scenes. They're usually full of energy. But one of my favorite paintings of his that I have 2 prints of signed that I love is this calm scene after the hunt, and it shows a falconer with his trained golden eagle and his horse and his dogs, and they've all worked together, and they've caught a saiga antelope, which is a kind of like a Siberian, it's a steppes of Central Asia species, remnant of the Ice Age that has a big bulbous nose to warm the air, the frigid air that it breathes in the wintertime before it hits its lungs. Love saiga antelope. It's a scene. It's cool. It's neat. We're like, yeah, okay, falconry scene. But let's pause and really think about what we're looking at here. At the end of the day, we are looking at 4 radically unrelated species, none of which have the same social structure or life structure, none of which speak the same language, working together, understanding what they are doing, working together for the purpose of capturing a 5th, the antelope. You have the falconer who understands and has the mindset, knows what they're doing, and hey, here's what I'm going to orchestrate. You have the horse, a herbivore, a prey species that does not understand hunting, but has been taught to be a form of transportation and part of a hunting process, riding towards the prey. You have dogs, selectively bred by humans from wolves that ate wild horses. But they've been trained to work together, to understand, and to be part of this, to go and find the antelope and kind of corral it, chase it, and then the eagle to go do the actual hunting. An eagle that could just easily fly away, and instead has been trained to be around all this commotion and work together. And once it has that antelope, the dogs have been trained to know, okay, we've helped flush this antelope, eagle's caught it, back away, we're going to wait here patiently. Even though we could eat an eagle, the eagle is not prey. Okay, it's part of the team. That you don't have that anywhere else in the world. You'll have some things where you'll have, a couple levels, Southeast Asia, where they're training cormorants to dive and catch fish. That's human cormorant catching a fish, right? Well, if you're a gun hunter, you and your dog, and you go out, or maybe with fox hunting, human horse dog going after a 4th. But I can think of no other version where you have 4 species, unrelated, having a unification of mind and intent, going after a 5th. It's remarkable and absurd. If you said it with another random group of animals, we're going to have a badger and a chimpanzee and a coyote and an ostrich all work. I'm going to ride this ostrich and we're all going to work together and we're going to catch a mongoose. You'd be like, never going to happen. It's only with patience and respect that such a thing could be orchestrated. Now, I'm not saying that we should all go out and do that. I'm not saying we should all get all these animals to work together and do. There's all kinds of forms of falconry where different versions are used, like ferrets. People train a hawk and a ferret to understand each other. Ferret flushes out a rabbit. Hawk catches the rabbit. Ferret goes back in the bag of the falconer, and things like that. Or, hey, I'm going to have my fine English setter go out there and smell a sage grouse. Point. The falcon's up above. Flush. The grouse goes up. Falcon hits it, carries it to the ground, dog waits. But my point isn't that. There's obviously different versions you can do. My point is that the key to falconry accomplishing seemingly miraculous things is patience and respect. We need to always remember that. If we always remember that, we will have success. Always remember, no matter how long falconry has been practiced with the species you're choosing to work with, that individual is an individual. And it has never heard of falconry. It has never heard of manning. It's never heard of game hawking. It's never heard of a hood, a jess, a swivel, leash. It doesn't know what they are. It is up to you to always remember that and to be patient in your approach and to not get dissatisfied with the progress of a bird. Always look at yourself and say, what can I do to continually build that trust and incentivize that bird and bridge the gap, transcend the language barrier until we have an understanding and a unification of minds. Since we do that with a lot of other animals, and train them, that's great. But falconry is, to me, just high as it gets because they can fly. We don't train sugar gliders to hunt for us. We don't train flying squirrels to go out and hunt for us. We don't train bats to go out and catch insects and bring them back. We don't do that. So a flighted animal that's not even a mammal to be able to accomplish these things with our intent, understanding, and guidance truly is remarkable. So again, please remember, always exercise patience. Always understand they're new to it. Always show respect for these birds and what they are and their own individuality. So I hope this is a good reminder, or if you're new to falconry, I hope that it helps you have a better understanding of a good way to approach the sport. And remember, I view it not as a sport, but as an art. Falconry is sometimes called the sport of kings, and it is a field sport, it is a hunting sport, but we also call it the art of falconry. And an art is something that you practice. I like to practice the art of oil painting. I also like to practice the art of falconry. And a true artist never masters. A master artist has not mastered their art. You keep learning, you keep growing, you try new techniques, you try new patience, you try new ways of looking things. You learn that people even newer to an art than you are have something to teach you. If you do that, you will always excel as an artist. And as a falconer, you are an artist practicing your art, trying to improve and learn. And an artist that is humble and patient and respectful will always accomplish well. So I hope this video was useful to you. Let me know down in the comments what you think and what other videos you would like to see. If you haven't already, please do hit subscribe. I'm trying to build this channel up, and those subscriptions really help me get this channel off the ground. And as always, happy hawking.